She was 13 years old. She had not yet reached her 14th birthday. And on the morning of the 2nd of January 1902, she was found face down on the bedroom floor of her family's farmhouse, her throat cut, her arms folded beneath her head as though she had simply lain down to sleep. The medical examiner would later count approximately 40 separate wounds to her throat, face, and chin. 40. Defensive wounds among them, meaning Bertha Shippen had fought. Whoever did this, she had looked at them. She had known them. No stranger approached the house that night. The tracker found no footprints. There were no signs of forced entry. The farmhouse sat in the remote district of Toita, South Australia, 6 kilometers west of Sudan, deep in the rolling country of the eastern Barossa. 2 people had been alone inside it. One of them was dead. It was Bertha's sister, Mary.
Bertha Elizabeth Shippen was born on the 16th of January, 1888, the youngest of 7 children. She had been baptized in the Lutheran faith, schooled at the Toita schoolhouse, and raised to understand that duty, labor, and silence were the highest virtues. She was described by those who knew her as quiet and obedient, a child shaped entirely by that closed, careful world. Because Toita was a closed world, the Shippens were of Wendish descent, a Slavic people from the borderlands of Germany, known also as the Sorbs, who had carried their language, their customs, and their faith across the ocean and planted them in South Adelaide's soil. They settled together, worshipped together, and kept to themselves. Trust in that community was not given freely, not even to neighbors. The patriarch, Matthias Shippen, embodied that quality absolutely. Those who encountered him in the district described a man of little warmth and considerable temper, stern with his children, demanding of those around him, and not easily crossed. In 1896, he had stood before the Adelaide Supreme Court, charged with shooting a young man named Carl Hartwig, wounding him in the leg during a confrontation on the property. The jury acquitted him in 10 minutes. The presiding justice, however, saw fit to warn Matthias that the circumstances might easily have produced a charge far graver. After that, he withdrew further still, from neighbors, from community, from scrutiny. By the summer of 1902, most of the older Shippen children had left for work on farms elsewhere in the district. The 2 youngest brothers, Gustav and Wilhelm, still worked the land alongside their father. Mary, 24 and unmarried, remained in the house, and Bertha, still 13, remained beside her.
Mary's account of that night, given to her brothers when they roused them from the tin shed at around 10 o'clock, was this. She had been awakened by a heavy weight pressing down on her chest. A bearded man had seized her wrists and thrown her across the room. She heard something metallic strike the floor, a knife, she believed. While the intruder turned to recover it, she ran. The brothers approached the farmhouse. Blood on the kitchen floor. The bedroom door closed. They did not open it. They went instead for Constable Alfred Charles Lambert. Lambert opened the door, raised his lamp, and found Bertha. Dr. Ramsay Smith, city coroner of Adelaide, conducted the medical examination. The carotid artery had been severed. The wound count, 40 stab and defensive injuries to the throat, face, and chin, told its own story. 40 wounds is not panic. 40 wounds is someone with a reason. The tracker found nothing outside. Inside, however, the evidence accumulated. 2 of Matthias Shippen's knives were found in the parlor. 1 bore traces of blood. In the kitchen, a tin bowl containing bloodied water, a blood-soaked towel. Blood marked the floor, the wall, and the fireplace within the bedroom. Beneath Bertha's body, investigators recovered a fragment of blue fabric, cut or torn from a sleeve and cuff. Mary was known to own a blue blouse. No other portion of that garment was ever found. When Mary was examined at Constable Lambert's residence, her hair was freshly washed. Lambert's household confirmed she had not washed it while in their care. Sit with that for a moment. A girl is dead in the next room, and sometime between the murder and the constable's arrival, Mary washed her hair.
During a 4-hour interrogation on the 11th of January, Mary disclosed for the first time that she had been conducting a secret relationship with a local laborer named Gustav Nitschke, aged 21. The relationship had been ongoing for approximately 12 months. Bertha, it emerged, had known about it, and Nitschke, it also emerged, was simultaneously engaged to a woman of considerably greater financial means. The inquest jury of 6 local men deliberated for 65 minutes. Unanimous verdict: Bertha Elizabeth Shippen had been killed by her sister, Mary Augusta Shippen. Mary was led away, weeping. The trial opened before Chief Justice Sir Samuel Way on the 4th of March, 1902, and ran for 6 days. Crowds gathered outside the Adelaide Supreme Court from early morning, pressing for space in the public gallery. The newspapers published detailed accounts of every session. A motor vehicle, then a remarkable novelty, was deployed by the critic to relay copy from Toita to the telegraph station at Angaston, 26 kilometers distant, outpacing rival publications. Even the press wanted to win this story. Mary entered court pale, composed, and largely unreadable throughout. She was represented by Sir Josiah Simon, King's Counsel, Senator, former Attorney General, and one of the most formidable legal minds in the colony. His fee of 50 guineas was paid by a neighboring farmer who believed she was innocent. Simon made Gustav Nitschke the center of his defense. He laid out the secret relationship, Bertha's dangerous knowledge of it, and Nitschke's engagement to a woman of considerably greater financial means. Nitschke gave his testimony and left the court to a hostile crowd that required police intervention to disperse. The evidence remained entirely circumstantial. No eyewitness, no confession. The blood on Mary's clothing could not be confirmed as human. She maintained she had helped her father butcher sheep in the days prior. The jury retired and returned in under 2 hours. Not guilty. Outside, a crowd of 3,000 had gathered. When the verdict reached them, they cheered. Whether they were cheering justice or simply the drama of a young woman walking free is a question nobody paused to answer.
Mary Shippen returned to Toita, but not to the life she had known. She did not marry. She did not seek work beyond the farm. The curtains of the Shippen house, neighbors later noted, were rarely open. She was seldom seen in the township. When she did appear, people stepped aside. Children were quietly steered away. In time, people stopped saying her name with certainty and started saying it with something else, something between pity and unease. Some called her the Gray Lady of Toita, a woman still present, but somehow already gone. Gustav Nitschke left the district and changed his name. Research suggests he may have died on the 11th of November 1954, a man who had lived for decades under a borrowed identity at a careful distance from everything Toita represented. In 1908, the Shippen family left the property. Matius died in 1911. Rumor persisted in the district for years that he had made some form of confession before his death. It was never corroborated. It may have been wishful thinking, the community's need to place the guilt somewhere it could rest. In July of 1919, Mary Shippen died of tuberculosis in the care of her mother and her brother Gustav. She was 41 years old. She had never spoken publicly of that night.
Bertha Shippen
is buried at the Sedan Lutheran Cemetery. Her gravestone reads, "Born near Toita, 16th January, 1888. Died tragically, 1st January, 1902. Aged 14. May she rest in peace." No charge was ever successfully prosecuted, no confession formally recorded. The schoolhouse that opened in 1980 closed in 1957. The church still stands. The Barossa summers return each year to that dry, quiet country, indifferent to what happened there. Consider what the evidence tells you. No forced entry, no outside footprints, a fragment of blue cloth beneath a dead girl's body, a sister who washed her hair before anyone came looking, and 40 wounds that speak of something far too personal to be random. Then consider the way the jury decided in under 2 hours, and what a crowd of 3,000 cheered. Mary knew. Bertha knew something about Mary that Mary needed kept silent. Whether that knowledge was the motive, whether shame or fear or something colder drove what happened in that room, we cannot say with certainty. But Bertha Shippen fought. She raised her hands. She left marks on this history that no verdict could erase. And the question she left behind has never been answered.